It's that moment in the show where we turn the conversation over to the people around the globe whose specialty it is to hear about fine wine, craft beer, restaurants, hotels, among other things. And this week, we turn the segment over to the wine dude, literally the wine dude, number one wine dude, Joe Roberts, who has a website where there's some serious talk about wine. And you can find him at onewinedude.com. That site, a finalist in the Best Wine Reviews category for the 2012 Wine Blog Awards. Welcome to the program, Joe.
Hey, thanks.
Nice to have you with us. And so your website, unlike some wine critics, your site is really designed to help people learn about wine in an entertaining and relaxed framework.
Well, thanks for that. It's relaxed because I don't know any other way to do it. So
All right.
I'm incapable of taking things too seriously, I think. So I guess that translates over on the web for better and worse.
Yeah, no, well, good. You have 3 picks for us this week, and each one came in number 1 in your annual top 10 most interesting wines of the year. You call them the MIWs. So we have one from each of the past 3 years. And let's start with your number 1 pick from all the way back in 2009. What do you have for us?
Oh, okay, so in 2009, that's a good one to start with because if we're going sort of white to red or to dessert, we might be jumping around. But what I picked back then, it's a wine that actually kind of helped put me on the map as a reviewer. It's Matthiasson's White Blend from Napa Valley. That was the 07 vintage, but obviously there's more current ones now. And interestingly, they reached out to me, and I was kind of the first guy in the scene to highlight that wine and talk about what a game changer I thought it was in terms of what Napa white wines were capable of. And since then, they've gotten just a ton of vindication behind that from the San Francisco Chronicle, Raj Parr, Robert Parker, you name it. Like, people have kind of lined up behind it, expressing the same sentiment, which is great to see.
Yeah.
And it's a couple out of Napa. They're peach farmers, but they sort of live that romanticized ideal that we all have about wine that doesn't really work for 90% of the wine that's made, where they have a farm in Napa, and they walk outside, and a bunch of their vineyards are right behind them. Yeah. And they and their kids live on that farm, and wine and peach farm is kind of how they make their money.
They're true farmers.
The wine doesn't have any peaches in it. Okay, yeah. Although sometimes you get some peach aromas from it. It's actually mostly It's mostly Sauvignon Blanc and Ribolla Gialla.
Oh, I haven't heard of Ribolla Gialla.
Yeah, a northern Italian white grape. It's really interesting wine. What's great about it is it's got that sort of northern Italian, funky, nutty, racy, tropical fruit mix that you get out of the better whites from there, but you're getting it from Napa. And sometimes the winemaker Steve Matthiasson from the couple, Steve and Jill, his wife, Steve, he's an in-demand consultant now for some really big names and really expensive wines in the Valley. He basically working in the vineyards as a consultant with some of those folks because he does such a great job.
That sounds... Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, and he's always experimenting. So it's just a great, interesting wine. If you think, the whites out of Napa are just maybe too big, too flabby, too just crazy for me, too fat, whatever, try these out. They're racy, they're linear, they're just stellar, and still really, really interesting. So just a different side of what Napa White can do.
And we should mention that you can find these picks on our website at eatdrinkexplore.com after the show's over. If you want to head there, if you're like, what did he say? Which one was that? That's how you find it. Okay, we have less than 2 minutes left to get to your next 2, so we need to hit the 2010 pick.
Yeah, Quinto do Vesuvio, vintage port from 2007.
Oh, I love port.
Oh, 2007, amazing vintage. Quinto do Vesuvio is probably a bit of a sleeper. I mean, you'll see a lot of critics picking probably bigger names and maybe much more intensely structured wines. But this wine, I think, it's a bit cheaper than some of those others, just as good. Going to be a surprising one for people. If you can afford it, pick up 5 or 6 bottles, drink them over the next 5 or 6 decades.
I like it. And where's that out of?
That one is out of Porto in Portugal.
Oh, okay, yeah. And then your final pick for today, anyway, is it was the number 1 most interesting from just last year, 2011.
Last year, yeah, the 2008 Day Martino, single vineyard, old bush vines, Limavida, that's what they call it. from Chile. It's a Malbec blend from Chile. The vines were planted in the 40s. They actually don't know, I think, what all the grapes are. They know it's mostly Malbec, which you tend to see out of Argentina, but not so much out of Chile.
Uh-huh.
The winemaker, Marcel Retzamal, is great. He's doing fantastic work. This is a red wine that's amazingly complex, amazingly structured. It's a gorgeous wine. Has a ton of surprises in it. Will reward the patient.
Joe,
only $40.
Only $40. I got to cut you off right there because we only have 8 seconds left.
Okay.
OneWineDude.com. Joe Roberts. We're back in just a moment.